We're going to New York. Morgan, you're
Go
up.
Rams. Go Rams, Jack.
Awesome. Awesome. I think Chad's gonna yeah. Oh, he took himself off mute.
I was gonna say,
Look
I'll
out.
be there if
Starting
you're going.
something now. So hey, thanks, Scott. Kat, real nice to meet you. Morgan Gebhardt from the beautiful snowy mountains, the Catskills, upstate New York. I have a bunch of questions I'd love to ask you. I mean, everything from these ayahuasca retreats and where you're getting the stuff, how you're actually suppressing those farts in those meetings. I've never been able to figure it out myself. And the funny hats as well. I wonder where you get them. But I wanted to draw a little on personal experience. A lot of this is sort of striking home for me. I once worked for a founder CEO who made a good show from a values perspective of wanting to engender continuous feedback from the employees, quarterly town halls, surveys, but behind the scenes, he was pressing HR, for example, to make sure that every survey question that was submitted, every piece of feedback that we were getting, we wanted to make sure we had the contact details of the employees, so we knew who those people were, ostensibly so we could reply to them, but really it was so we can weed out those negative voices in the organization. So from your experience, have you ever had to confront a client who on the surface was looking like they were working to be very constructive and create positive change within the organization, really shift the culture. But in the end, maybe it was a facade, or maybe even further, have you had to fire a client because you realized that their values were not aligned with what it was that they hired you to do?
Yeah. So actually, number one, if you lean a little bit and you pull one of your butt cheeks apart, the fart can't be heard.
Got it. Thank you.
I know. Life hack. Number two, yes. There is a public company that, they did this whole press release that they were partnering with us and, like how excited they were. And, when it was, we were like 6 months into it and we weren't doing any of the initiatives that we had talked about in the original like proposal and plan. And so all they wanted us to do was recruit for them. And I try to explain, there are multiple conversations I had with them and I'm like, I'm not doing it because I don't like your culture. If I don't like your culture, I can't get paid for direct hire placement because they're not going to stay. And so I'm just wasting my time. And I gave them data. I gave them everything. And the response was like this esoteric idea that you have and blah, blah, blah. And so I did have to terminate services with them because number one, it's our brand too. I do have to look out for our brand. And so if we have like wrongful terminations and wage and hour claims against our brand, that's obviously not going to look good for me. So I think, luckily I had done so much work in my values, Morgan, that I can sense it a lot quicker now, just through like initial calls. And it's easier for me now to, say, you know what, I don't think we're going to be the right solution for you. Like if you just want a handbook, like it ain't us, So yes, that has happened. And yes, I have walked away. I've probably walked away over the last 6 years, I would say 3 times I walked away from, but that one was the biggest one I could think of because they were a public company. And so it was really hard for me because, I was excited. It was a public, like I even bought stock in their company because I'm like, yeah, like we're totally, the stock's going to go up with us on board, And so I had gotten too many tentacles in there. And so I did have to pull out. And honestly, I don't think they're doing very well right now.
Usually they won't if the culture is bad. Hey, Scott, if the next person you go to is also a big baller or basketball fan, I'm going to say there's some bias at work here.
There could be. I don't pay, whoever raises their hand, they raise their hand. I have no control over this.